Sometimes I see videos on the internet of influencers unboxing gifts. Well, this is not a gift and I'm far from being an internet influencer, but I can still get very excited when I receive a new order from one of the Brit bands I work with. Because the bits are nice and shiny and it always gets me excited to see, okay, I've got a few new bits. Let's see how they work on my horse or other horses that I bitfit. So I just received this box from Sprenger, and in 2 weeks I will be starting a Dutch-speaking group of dedicated horse professionals who want to learn the trade of bitfit consulting and become experts in the field of contact issues. Well, to provide thorough explanations, I have ordered various bits, and during the practical days, we will work with them and I will show the effects and the fit in various horse mouths. So maybe you're new to my channel, maybe you don't even know anything about the professional bitfit consultants. I've been doing it now for more than 10 years. I'm educator of the ICPBC, International College for Professional Bitfit Consultants, and bitfit consultants are here to help you make the perfect choice of bit for you and your horse. So you might think, well, I could go to a shop and I would just buy a bit. And of course you can, but it can save you a lot of money if you have a professional doing this, because, and I'll explain it, I will just grab a bit. Let's see, this one's already loose. So every horse is an individual. So this means the horse can have a thick tongue, a rounded tongue, a flat tongue, a wide tongue, a soft, or a more harder tongue. It could have a low palate, a hollow palate. In between palate, it could have a small upper and lower jaw. It could have small bars. It could have sharp bars. It could have bars that are rotated to the inside. It could have bars that are rotated more towards the outside. You could have bars where the tongue will drop down and will stay nicely on the bars, but you could also have bars with a small tongue, so the bars are more quickly exposed and shown, so there's a bigger chance of your bit touching the bar. So what else do we have? We have, of course, the teeth. We have the mucosa on the inside of the cheeks. There are a lot of individual difference between, well, one horse and the other horse. So if you want to make a choice for a certain kind of bit, it's nice if you know about anatomy and if you know which kind of anatomy and which kind of conformation of your horse does fit a certain type of bit. So for instance, a single jointed bit, not all horses like single jointed bit. It also has a different reaction. If you steer with a single jointed bit, that's completely different if you compare it to a double jointed bit. So we also have preferences of the horse, but also you as a rider. So if you're a rider and you have a steady hand and your hand is still in the mouth, the bit, of course, would also be still. But if you have a movable hand, well, the choice of bit can make a huge difference, because I could help you with making a choice where your bit is the most stable in the mouth, even though you don't control your hand as much as you would like. So we help you making the correct choice for the horse's anatomy, but we also make a choice on what are you doing as a rider. And that's not the only thing. We also look at biomechanics of the horse. So if there is a horse, say, with a really heavy neck and he's really wanting to lean on the front all the time, there are certain models of bit that can give a little bit of lift. And that's handy to know. And if you're in a shop and you just go to the bit rack and you see the many choices that I have now, well, bits are expensive. So if you buy a bit and you have to go and in 2 weeks later, change it to another bit, that'll cost you way more than getting a professional to help you. And it's not like a bit bank, even though I love bit banks. Bit banks are also good if you're someone who can feel really well, and if you're creative. Of course, you can go to a bit bank, borrow a bit, try it out, send it back, and so on and so on. It takes a lot of time, but it's already so much better than just buy a bit on the story that's told by a manufacturer. But my profession goes further, because sometimes you would have a contact issue, say like my horse is pulling up the tongue, my horse is putting the tongue towards the outside, my horse is pulling, my horse is doing, well, just name a contact issue. With a background in the biomechanics of the horse, also, known with manipulations, with body work, sometimes the problem is not in the bit, but it's in the body of the horse. So it could be you as a rider, it could be the bit, but it could also be something in the horse's body that the horse is compensating. And it's important to know as a rider, what is my horse compensating? And knowing that could also, how do I say that, influence the choice of bits. So say, for instance, your horse has the anatomy to fit this bit or a single jointed bit, or at least he has a mouth for a single jointed bit. But for instance, he has a compensation where he's, actually, I've got a great example. I will do that in the next video. But I have like an example where a horse is compensating because he has only one eye. So he's rotating, and then you can see that the whole body is changing because he has this thing in his body, missing one eye, that he needs to compensate. And because of this compensation, the choice of bits changes, because then you're more fitting on, okay, how can I keep the horse's head the most steady and get the tilt out of its posture, and give him the trust that I will lead him correctly, because I know his view is limited on one side. So those cases are really interested, and that's why it's a whole education. It's not like we just sell bits and try bits. It's way more than that. We really look at the individual horse, we look at the individual rider, and we look at the biomechanics of actually both you and the horse. And that's a really cool combination. So I was planning to do unboxing, but I'm just chatting around. So I'm just getting some bits for the education that is starting in the 2 weeks with the Dutch group. And I will explain them how everything is in the mouth, and they will also be shown the different kinds of bits and how they work. And that's a lot of knowledge. And it's also a way of thinking, so you can combine this knowledge with other things you discover while palpating the horse's head, palpating the horse's neck, which muscles are tight, what's telling me that. So in this case, I have a few bits that, I'm actually gonna try on my own horse as well. It's the Satinox is a newer metal. It's like inox, but just a little different. But it looks like inox. It's a cheaper version of Sprenger, so that's good, because it's not always the case that the most expensive bits are the best bits. You should just combine. So I combine all kinds of brands. I combine the more expensive bits, but also the cheaper kinds of bits. And this bit is a Kimball hook, where you can see there are a few hooks where you can attach the reins. It has a port, and with a bit that has a port, it's really important, does the tongue fit the port? Because if you have like a 2-finger, really small tongue, well, then the chance of the port being too high is, it's not what you want, because then the sides of the port, the whole bit will drop down, and the sides of the port will damage the bars. So you need a fleshy, thicker, wide tongue to fit the complete curb of the bit. So those are things we pay attention to. And of course, there are bits with different kind of curbs, especially say when you're riding double bridles, you look at the size of curb and you look at the anatomy of the horse, you look at the tongue and the palate, because you also need to have space on the roof of the mouth. And then you decide, okay, which bit does actually fit in the horse's mouth. So I've got all these kinds of bits and I'm just nicely unpacking and see what I again ordered. Oh, this is one that locks. And I also have a version, not a virgin, but that doesn't lock. And you can see this one as a more rounded shape and this one is less rounded and locks. And these things look like really small differences. And when I wasn't working with bits, I always thought, oh my God, how much can a little rounding make for a horse? Or how much does a middle piece that's a little bit wider affect the horse? And to be honest, loads, really loads. You can have horses that have a preference for a wider middle piece, but you also have horses that have a preference for smaller. And even though I sometimes think like, my gosh, this is only 1 centimeter. I don't know how much this is, less than inches is like this, I think, but centimeters is like this. And it makes a huge difference for your horse. So it's really important to, imagine or understand that the smallest difference can make a huge difference for the horse, because we're talking about iron in the horse's mouth. So the perfect fit is so important to help you solve your contact issues. I'm just gonna unpack all my bits and I'm gonna have a little look at the doubles because I love Weymouths. Oh, it's actually not a Weymouth. Normally when they're in the big box, they're Weymouths, but this is not. This is nice for steering. Love unpacking. So I'm just gonna show you, I'm not gonna describe all bits, but I'm just gonna show you what a bit fitter, and it's just one brand, will have in its suitcase. And you will know that it's so much easier to bring someone to your barn and that'll try all these bits with you than go to a shop or go to a big bank and send back. But anyway, I'm just gonna sort my bits out. If you have any questions, or if you want to see some videos, or if you want some information because you are a horse professional and you want to learn the profession of bitfit consultants, because there are no bitfit consultants yet in your country, contact me on my website. And maybe I'll see you there. And if not, just follow these videos. I always try to be informative, and sometimes I'm just having fun with my bits. So see you around. Bye bye.